email here from Callum, who says there's been a lot of hand-wringing about the dark arts since Arsenal's second-half display against Manchester City last Sunday. Has this got worse since you started watching football, though? And putting club allegiances aside, what are your personal feelings about the dark arts? I want to start with you, Luke Moore, the lineal champion of Jack's Encyclopedia, of course, no
As
doubt.
of yesterday, yeah.
And some might say you use the dark arts regularly on that. What do you think about this? Has it got worse since you've started watching football? And what are your personal feelings about those dark arts?
I don't think it has got worse. I think it's probably more of the same.
Changed a little bit here and there, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Where the rules change, the dark arts change with it.
Exactly. There was the shadows move as
Often
well.
the dark arts are one step ahead, of course. Hence, the rules are always trying to catch them
They
up.
possibly are. And I think also we just see so much football now that we're maybe more used to them. My feeling is that there are many different ways to win a football match. And as I said last week, the referee is there to uphold and enforce the laws of the game. That's his job. Now, while I find it annoying personally when a team takes 2 minutes to line up a free kick, that does annoy me. But that's probably not an example of a dark arts because every team just seems to do that, whatever's happening. Or when players go down after every touch or because they're trying to see a game out. The referee does, lest we forget, have the ability and the structure in place to stop that happening. They don't tend to do it. I've seen, for example, we've all seen, I'm sure, a referee from a distance dishing out a yellow card to a goalkeeper for taking ages over a goal kick. I've never seen 2 yellow cards for that. No. It doesn't ever seem to happen.
Isn't that a function of the dark art so that the keeper knows he's got one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he still does it after that. He knows he's not going to go again.
Right.
Look, in summary, I think the best form of football is when teams set out to win, score some amazing goals along the way. But life isn't all rainbows and unicorns, is it? It doesn't always happen like that. So you've got to go out to win games. And these people, we have to remember, in the context of this discussion, these people that are, the protagonists of this are playing in a lot of cases for their livelihoods, for their success, for lots of different things, and winning becomes far more important to them, I think, than perhaps anyone else. My feeling as a fan is that football is entertainment, so as long as I'm entertained, I don't really care that much. Obviously, I want the team I support to win. The only caveat to all this stuff, and this is another area of it we have to cover, I suppose, is that, of course, I wouldn't like to see a player go out to deliberately injure another player. I don't want to see that happening. But,
which, of course, years ago would have been more common. Hence, we say the dark arts have sort of changed a bit.
I think it's the darkest of all the dark arts, isn't
I
it?
would say so.
Yeah, but you're right to point that out. I mean, it doesn't really happen as much anymore. It doesn't seem to be anyway. But look, for me, in summary, bring it on. I enjoy it. And don't forget, the Ramble was kind of started all those years ago, at least partly, from my point of view, as an antidote to people hand-wringing and pearl clutching, saying, "Oh, we don't want to see this and we don't want to see that." We were all like, "Well, we love all this stuff, yeah." So what's wrong with that? So I'm kind of, I walk hand in hand with the dark arts.
Yes.
I'd rather be at their side than in their path. And therefore I am relaxed about it. I totally understand why they happen, and I'm I'm fine with it.
Okay. I think it'd be quite interesting for us to sort of think about how we define the dark arts, because there's a point where I think in the past you might have said that sort of, playing really, really rough counted as the dark arts. To address this element of the question, I agree with Luke. I don't think it's getting worse. I just think it's different now. Like Leeds were known for being very dirty in the 70s. Mourinho's Chelsea were known for engaging in it. There's a chant, same old Arsenal, always cheating for good reason. Lots of teams engage in this sort. Exactly, a lot of kind of what you would now call the dark arts. So lots of teams do it. Alex Ferguson's attitude towards referees after games probably counts as that. It's not even on the pitch, but it's all part of it, isn't it? Getting in the heads, absolutely. This thing is part of the drama of it and part of the theatre of it, isn't it? Like we can quite piously hope for, games that are solely based on the pursuit of the perfect aesthetic, but that's always going to play into the hands of certain teams, and there's no correct way to win, is there? As long as the referees have decreed that it's within the laws of the game, and in all cases, if you're doing the dark arts successfully, then they have. Otherwise, you get sent off. Yeah, there are rules in place for it.
I'd like it to be seen as dark forces, not dark arts.
Yeah,
a tribute to Kesey.
Yeah, I think so. I think we do need to explore
we do need
ways
to reappraise Kesey.
Well, I mean, in the dark arts itself, when you say how do we define? I mean, it's clearly trying to to bend the rules or break, or you're breaking the rules.
Is it cheating? If it becomes cheating, does it go beyond the dark arts?
Well,
I can't believe the amount of times I'm hearing the phrase dark arts.
Yeah. It's getting a little bit silly, but we're all in this
I think
football-y mess together.
In purist terms, my feeling when I hear the phrase is that it's like pushing the boundaries, bending the rules without actually getting caught. I don't think there's anything quote unquote dark arts about just booting someone in the head.
No,
that's the unsubtle and not really the same thing. There's nothing artistic about that, is there? It's not an art, is it?
I mean, we'll talk about individual players in a moment because we have a question on that. But people would say Luis Suarez, Uruguay, Ghana, or he deployed the dark arts there. It's kind of like, no, he just tried to cheat.
Yeah.
And he got punished. So I think the real kind of stuff with the dark arts is can you get away with it?
Yeah.
We knew that, again, traditionally or stereotypically Italian defenders, for example, with rotating the fouls and all that kind of stuff. It's these ways of just trying to gain advantages while trying to kind of tiptoe around the sort of the rules and the referee.
I do think if Luis Suarez didn't engage in the dark arts so frequently, he wouldn't even have had the thought process to think, well, I'll just punch this off the line rather than concede a goal. They get a penalty and they might miss it. And then, in his words, or to paraphrase him, the hand of God might belong to me.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, my personal feelings about it are... And Callum says, putting club allegiances or, country allegiances aside, it is difficult.
That feels very, very much aimed at me.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but because obviously Fulham and Portsmouth have been going for promotion and stuff, but it's not quite going for Premier League titles and so on.
You've had Mitro in there. He's not no stranger, is he?
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. But I think with my feelings on it, it is difficult to put those allegiances aside because if they happen to your team, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
And if your team is clinging on to a 2-1 lead at the Etihad or something like that, you want your players to stop the game.
I've got to be honest, when Erling Haaland threw the ball at the back of Gabriel's head, I just thought that was funny.
No, but that's not dark.
But it is. It's trying to wind him up, isn't it? It's trying to sort of rattle them.
But that's not what we're talking about
I think I disagree. I think it's all part of it. I think those tiny things are part of it.
I think that little example is not what the spirit of this question. The spirit of the question is...
Have a fight. Dark art, have a fight.
But
without me noticing, I'll be the ref.
No, but I think the spirit of the question is it's when it's so I think nowadays certainly there seems to be this way, especially since Guardiola's Barcelona produced such a blueprint on trying to play the game in the modern age and so on. It's this idea that how can we beat a better opponent or a better
Jose
opponent?
Mourinho put a dark print into
Totally. And so how can we beat a side who are better than us or certainly better with the ball? Right, we're going to have to do everything. And I think that then you get people like Rodri and one or two others saying, oh, well, they play anti-football, this phrase anti-football. And I think that is really what we're trying to see. Manchester City, again, would have felt... in the words of Jeremy Corbyn, well, we won the argument sort of thing.
Yes.
Is that, oh, well, look what they did, you saw on social media, is that all you can do? Bernardo Silva saying, well, why don't you go toe-to-toe? All this kind of stuff. And so those are things. What are my feelings about it? I'm the same as you, Luke. I just think, well, I'm sorry, but if you can do that, then absolutely. It is infuriating. The one that really infuriates me is when players feign injury. Because I think that is actually... I think there's a little bit of cry wolf there, and which, I don't want to dampen the mood by saying you could go down a very, very dangerous path if someone is genuinely injured, blah, 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 blah. But I'll leave that there.
I said the worst example of that I've ever seen, and I said at the time, was when Didier Drogba was playing for Chelsea and he got as a clash of heads or some kind of coming together for a header, and he hit the floor and he feigned an episode. He feigned like a seizure.
Well, then there was that moment of maybe not what you're thinking about with him and Jens Lehmann when that was pathetic. You know? So that
I just thought the way he did the seizure thing was so serious. It was almost a bit like you are really affecting like how a medical team responds to the situation. That is really unacceptable.
So the feigning injury is one that I find like incredibly disgusting and actually difficult to referee.
The knock on from that as well is that it means fans never believe it when someone goes down, even if they're genuinely hurt. And that has a knock-on effect on a lot of things. The phrase is apt, as you mention it, and it's foul sometimes as well. So often you see home teams like commit a very obvious foul, like very, very clear foul, and everyone's going, "What are you doing, ref?" And that feeds into the atmosphere of the game, doesn't it? We know it affects referees; it must do.
Totally. And with regards to some of the dark arts, as we talked about, heavier challenges and all that kind of stuff. Well, refereeing has adapted to that over the years. And also now with VAR, it's incredibly difficult, I think, to get rid of that. So there are some things. And also as well, the culture in which you're brought up in as well will influence this as well. Sometimes we think that, diving is awful and blah, 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 but a good solid challenge, as we say,
That's a big cultural thing, isn't it?
It is a
in
big
other parts of the world, I don't care about that.
Absolutely.
The two things I played Sundays and Saturdays when I was a kid, the two things I used to do, little dark arts for you. One was when there's a goal kick, I'll stand behind the striker and I put the front studs of my boot onto their heels of their boot, so when they jumped up, their shoes came off.
That's nice. Did that work?
Yeah, sometimes worked.
Okay.
Well, you at least get one come slightly out, which is a problem for them.
They can't cut that.
Yeah, and the second one was when you're trying to help someone up, to give them a little pinch, because then they react and you go, ref, look, I'm trying to help them up. Kind of thing. That kind of stuff is dark arts. That's the kind of dictionary definition in the margin stuff.
I think
well, that's Ben White trying to sort of undo Vicario's gloves.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Last season. And let's be honest, I'll give you an example of a game here. When none of us have a dog in the fight. Do you remember when Jose Mourinho's Chelsea went to Liverpool? It was the game where Steven Gerrard slipped.
Of course.
And
time wasting and all that.
Mourinho had psyched his Chelsea team up saying that I want 2 yellow cards for time wasting within 20 minutes or something like that.
Right.
And then obviously they win the game. It has a massive knock-on effect for Liverpool's title ambitions, which Mourinho wants to do. He wants to have that effect. And he leaves the ground shouting, you wanted clowns. And we're still talking about it, and it's amazing. Yeah. We want that part. We want that side of the drama, right? We want those sort of characters and that sort of personality in it.
We watching that Mr. McMahon wrestling documentary at the moment about wrestling, and there's a big part of it about how people would misunderstand the role that wrestling played, right? Because there was a snobbiness involved where that people would say, "Look at these idiots; they don't understand this wrestling's all fake." And people and what the people on the show were saying, well, no, it's not that. It's that they want to go to the theatre and essentially be entertained, and it's a working class version of the theatre, basically, right? And what it was doing with its storylines is reflecting our own lives back at us. It was good for that kind of thing. And it's no real different to any kind of traditional entertainment. With football, you do have to be very careful not understanding that core principle, which is that you'll go in there to be entertained. You'll go in there in a way to see a reflection of society, a cross-section of people, doing whatever they're doing and being super skillful at doing it. And the personalities involved are really important. Yeah, they're super important.
You've got to be emotionally invested, right? Yeah. And that can swing two ways.
What Mourinho's doing there with that example and plenty of others, it's nothing different to a wrestling storyline. It's just people take it a lot more seriously because it's top-level sport and there's a lot of money in it and all the rest of it. But without that, it'd be absolutely shit. It'd be so procedural and so boring.
Oh, it really does provide a lot of character to the sport.
Remember him getting in that laundry bar?
Oh, man, come on,
that is really, really wrestling, isn't it?
That's quality.
You're right, because actually,
who watches that and goes, "Oh, well, he's a manager for a club I don't like, so it's not funny."
Yeah, it should be more professional.
Bitter bastards. That's
bitter bastards. Well, Luca had a related question on Instagram. Said, which players playing or retired are the masters of the dark arts? Well, we've spoken about a couple of managers there, and even a player with say Luis Suarez. But you've got to look at somebody like the centre halves for Real Madrid. Ramos and Pepe.
Ramos and Pepe are the ultimate examples.
Just unbelievable.
Because Ramos and Pepe, they were quite unsubtle in ways that you go, okay, maybe you're undermining your own argument there by saying there's nothing creative about it. But then you've got to think to yourself, what stuff did they get away with?
Yes. To be fair, there's a great example of what Sergio Ramos got away with when he essentially dislocated Mo Salah's arm in the Champions League final. That's where it crosses the line, right? That's not okay.
Into really good. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like
that's terrible. That was terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, in this, if you could take like thrash metal, that's just noise. But actually, the guitar playing is incredible. The technique. Yeah, and that's what like Pepe and Ramos were
very much so
like as well.
I think actually, we mentioned Luis Suarez, but one of my favourite things about him as a player actually has a bit of the dark arts to it, where if he was running at a defender, he would literally run at them. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, foul me or let me let me go past you because I'm quicker than you with the ball at my feet. And like it kind of it's through him like a stick of rock, really, isn't it? And maybe is Marco Materazzi the most effective singular moment of it against Zidane?
Yeah,
possibly.
Sort of the back chat as well. I mean, one of his teammates at Inter, it would have been, was Thiago Motta was very good.
He was,
had all that kind of stuff as well. But of course, if you want to go all the way back, we think of it being very physical, whether it's as you say, pinching people or a stern challenge and so on. But diving is also dark arts, I think.
Definitely.
And Jurgen Klinsmann was an absolute master of it back in the day. Obviously, when he was a fine player.
Because if you do it right, only you know whether you dived or not.
Yeah. And I mean, he was incredible at it. One of the sort of the early ones, and then when he was at Spurs, does that celebration which was so famous, where he sort of dives and the belly slide, which was surely in reference to that. You know?
I thought Diego Costa was pretty good at that as well.
Yeah, Costa was another one. Yeah, but again, that's very much in your face, kind of with Costa. I mean, there's so many, isn't there, that you could. We're in danger here of just listing players for the sake of it. Right, Jim, you've got the next question.
I do. It's from Tom on email. He says, after news that Wojciech Szczesny is almost certainly coming out of retirement to play for Barcelona, which player would you bring back from retirement and which team would you parachute them into?
By the way, as predicted on the Football Ramble, that Szczesny would go to Barcelona. Yes. We also had that on here. So good to see us predicting the game, influencing the game, Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, we were given a heavy tip-off by the media.
And by Szczesny's best friend, is Andy Brassel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told us.
Go on then.
I would go, well, I'll tell you what Portsmouth need at the moment.
Well.
I'd drop Gary O'Neill in there.
Would you?
Player manager. I don't really want to get rid of Mousinho, but I think he could be a lieutenant for him on the pitch.
Why don't you do the good thing here and you satisfy yourself and me? All right, careful. Sol Campbell. Drop him in there for Portsmouth. Drop him in there for England as well.
I would drop him in there for Spurs.
There you go.
To be fair, top level Sol Campbell. I mean, might take a bit of selling into the fan base, but I mean, he's definitely been improving. I would possibly go as well.
A bit of selling.
I'd possibly go to Matt Letizia at Southampton, just so they can't pretend he doesn't exist.
Letizia and Lambert.
Yeah, he can't pretend. Southampton can't pretend as a club that he's not associated with him anymore by banning him and all the rest of it. If he's got to play every game, that'd be brilliant. But like I say, Gary O'Neill at Portsmouth would be great. He's got unfinished business there. I can see him being the manager there at some point.
Okay, yeah, when he's done with the Premier League.
Yeah, well, it might be sooner than you think.
I'm going to throw Vish a bone here, and I think latter stages Paul Scholes at Manchester United is definitely.
Well, they had that.
No, he's needed.
He did that already once.
I know, but somebody to control that midfield, somebody to have a bit of influence.
I was going to say Roy Keane for that reason. Imagine dropping Roy Keane into this team because he's what they need.
He'd be gone, Jimmy.
This is the problem, isn't it? He'd fall out with Ten Hag immediately. And there would be.
I think he'd just ignore Ten Hag, wouldn't he?
Maybe.
I don't think Ten Hag would even get onto the radar
enough to acknowledge him.
Yeah, so I think that's the answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you see that thing the other day where Ruud Gullit was saying that?
Garnacho.
Alejandro Garnacho was ignoring Eric Ten Hag.
Ruud Gullit talks a lot of shit.
He does.
I think that's one of the problems that Ten Hag has, isn't it? That just Dutch men are always going to have an opinion on what he's doing, and it's always going to be really blunt, really, really blunt.
That's true. Yeah.
What about you, Jim?
So obviously Roy Keane was one I had in mind already.
Who was your man who Arsenal sold to? Was it Valencia? Or they got him from Valencia. You couldn't stand him. The Mustafi. I'd have Mustafi at Arsenal. Let's see how well the system Arteta's got works
stand
at
up
the back.
to it. The stresses and the pressures.
Once famously seen marking the referee before a free kick.
Nice.
Absolute joker.
That's what they should do. That's what, as a project, that's what they should do. Top teams have got this amazing project going on, like Arsenal have at the moment. They have to find the worst player in their history who's still capable of playing and drop him in there and see how robust it is.
Yeah. Funny you say that. To quote loads of dimwits on X, I just want to see something.
Yeah.
Jack Rodwell back to City. Just to slot into that Rodri spot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's the one to look for.
There you go. How about that? Blimey O'Reilly. Well, I think we're all looking forward to seeing Szczesny if indeed that does happen, which we
harsh on Inaki Pena, but do
you think?
Yeah, you can't just have one young keeper though.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And Szczesny, we were saying last week, it's an amazing gig for him. It's a proper Danny Glover of a gig.
Mind you, I'd love to see an old style sort of British goalkeeper in at Barcelona, barking at the back four, just not getting it, hoofing it, is a niche. Andy Dibble.
John Budgie Burridge.
Burridge!
Yeah.
Get Burridge at Barca.
Burridge is a career, he made his debut in 1969.
Is it fair to say he was a journeyman?
Guess what year he officially retired? So he made his debut in 1969. Yeah. Guess what year he retired?
I say it's something like 2002.
Yeah, I think you might be right there.
1997.
Right.
Oh, still.
Hell.
Yeah. That's
Even
amazing.
So.
That's an absolute,
It'd be fantastic to see him in there, of course.
So he was there for, let me get this right. Would it be Abbey Road or Let It Be? And he was there for Be Here Now.
What a career.
Whichever was the bit, I forget which one.
Well,
unbelievable. Yeah, having him hoofing it into the stands at Barcelona. Glorious, absolutely glorious. Luke, you've got the final question.
I have indeed. It's from Phil, as you said before the break. You just said, and we've got a question from Phil.
Big Philly style.
People will be thinking, what the hell? Well, I'm going to read it to you now. As Mikel Arteta has shown a complete disregard for technical area etiquette, looking at you, Jim.
Dark arts.
What do you think should be the punishment for coaches leaving their designated area? Now, before you answer this, just want to let you know that officially, at the moment, leaving the technical area in the Premier League is only a yellow card if the referee deems it's gone past, quote, occasional into persistent. So when people watch football, I'm looking at you, Richard Keys, and go, Mikel Arteta's out of his technical area again, that's a yellow card.
Stop this man.
It actually isn't.
Right.
It's only a yellow card if it becomes persistent rather than occasional.
You know, you saw it.
I was there.
I think we haven't referenced the Arnold Schwarzenegger film Running Man for a while.
No, and that's on us.
It is on us, yeah. I feel genuinely ahead of its time.
Do you want to hear my trivia about Running Man?
Please.
The guy who played the bad guy in the Running Man, as in the guy who hosted the TV show, the main bad guy with the grey hair.
He's great.
Richard Dawson is the name of the actor. He used to be the conductor on my granddad's bus.
My giddy aunt.
It's a good bit of trivia, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blimey, all right.
So the story
I'm
is
stunned.
He's from my hometown, and he was an amateur dramatics guy.
God, blimey.
And then I think a famous actress, I think Diana Dawes, came down and was doing a play down there. He met her. They fell in love. He got married to her. They moved to Hollywood, and he became a massive star.
That is incredible.
Conductor on my granddad's bus.
It's one of the finest performances
Carry on.
you'll see.
Yeah, actually, another little bit of trivia. The Running Man was based on a book written by William Goldman, who also wrote The Princess Bride.
Did he really?
Very, very different books.
Not to be confused with William Golding, who wrote Lord of the Flies.
Indeed.
Another very different book.
Well, anyway, the punishment I think that managers have is at the start of the Running Man when they're in that sort of, a jail or something, they've got those things around their neck.
Yeah.
If you go past a certain point,
It explodes.
dead.
Dead.
Keys you've got for that.
Oi. It only happened once, Jim, and then it would stop it.
Exactly.
So you're right, yeah,
Big
you're right.
deterrent, Jim.
You would think so.
Imagine, tell me if you honestly think a top-level manager's brain's being splattered all over a young kid in the front row. Old Trafford.
You don't have to
Isn't
go.
it
Let's be
deterrent?
honest, though. I'd have a front row seat for that because Arteta would be the first person to, bang his head off.
I don't know why I'm complaining. I brought this to the table.
Yeah.
As I say, it wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Is Mikel Arteta without a head definitely
He'd
the
live
worst?
for 3 days.
Is he definitely the
He'd
worst?
be running around outside his technical area like a chicken for 3 days.
I'll tell you what he'd do. He'd be absolutely fine. Everyone's going, how is this man still going on? And then he'd rip his chest open and you'd see another brain hand in hand with a heart.
Exactly.
And he would still be able to continue.
Little head coming out like Total Recall.
There you
Very
go.
Arnie heavy show, and which I assume we're all
Fine with it.
happy with.
Do you know the record for a chicken living the longest without a head?
I can't say.
An
Have a
hour?
guess.
An hour?
2 days.
18 months.
Fuck off.
It is.
That can't be true.
It's 18
that
months.
cannot be true.
It is because...
So when you say it's alive, I understand the concept of being alive.
So
I
was
currently living
They
it.
were just
Was
put
the
pellets
whole
down
head
its neck.
off?
They put pellets down its neck and it stayed alive.
But what?
I'm being serious.
But it's not. It's like it's just moving. Is the head somewhere else going?
Yeah.
Oh bloody hell! I used to have a
There's
body.
a picture of it.
That is.
It's the head. Honestly,
It's got the head is at its feet in the picture as well.
yeah, the head he looks thoroughly pissed off.
Sorry about this. I mean, it's probably vegetarians listening to this show. But anyway, we're getting distracted.
We are.
I just want to know if you think Arteta minus a head is definitely the worst manager in the Premier League.
If you can get 18 months out of him, probably not.
It's the average tenure
That is a fair
for a manager anyway.
I derailed this with my quite
Running
frankly
Man.
ludicrous
So
suggestion. Perhaps you could bring it back.
No, I think manager. I mean, look, my honest take on this is I think it's a bad thing there's a technical area anyway. I understand
weird,
why it's
isn't it?
there. They don't want people to clash and all the rest of it. And maybe you need some kind of barrier between the team's benches. Other than that, I think the manager should be able to go wherever he wants, apart from the pitch. So if the manager wants to go around behind the goal, start giving a bit of needle to the opposition goalkeeper, why not?
I mean, it'd be odd if they did. So right, no one's going to really take them up.
Non-league, that happens every single game. Not with the manager, with the fans.
Yeah. Celebrating the goals on the dugout.
So you don't think
Great.
there should be any punishment then?
No. I don't care. I don't want people to say
What about like a bouncer so you can get back in there? You know, like Lionel Messi's bodyguard.
Yeah.
Someone who's that efficient.
Yeah. I can see what you mean.
Just let you step out the air, get back in there, and then because then they're not going to chip off on with a big.
I just
hard bloke.
think you're causing confrontation and friction by having a technical area that's just painted out.
True, but Phil has asked a question here.
Well, maybe each manager has like a champion who stand by the technical area.
And there's a joust.
And if there is any sort of needle between the benches, the champions step in and represent
Arm
each
wrestle.
club.
Arm wrestle.
I just think the people who make these decisions, they get a little bit kind of het up about it. You know, when they said that rule a year ago or maybe 2 years ago, where it's only one coaching member can stand up in the technical
Yeah,
one time.
it
It's
gets
like,
a
what are
bit
you doing
silly,
that for? What's the point? Don't worry about
It's
it.
not how,
It's
like,
probably-
Because they watched the Europa League final when Roma and Mourinho were involved, and they thought we have to do something about
it
this.
sort of ignores the fact that it's an emotional game and that's why we like it, and that's
But Jim,
fine.
if you wouldn't mind though to have a
I'll
go at
answer.
answering the question,
Yeah.
I understand your points,
Yeah,
and so
Jim,
therefore
I'm-
you may answer it half-assed, but still, Phil deserves an answer.
I'm not answering his question.
And we've already had one person who's refused to answer it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a shit question.
three strikes and you're out. If you get that third strike, you have to go and sit with the away fans, like Arsene Wenger did at the Old Trafford.
That's
Oh,
so
I'd
good.
love that.
That is football heritage.
It was great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There should be a statue in Old Trafford of him on that particular point.
Yeah.
It would annoy people, I understand.
Everyone would be
Probably-
having a piss up it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but that's,
It would.
it's their statue. They do what they want with it.
True.
But if you bought a season ticket and you're sitting behind it, it'd be a bit annoying.
It would be annoying. Yeah.
But then I think you'd also appreciate it at the same time.
I think sending them into the crowd's a good idea.
Yeah, or put it under the leak.
Yeah.
There's something for
They
everyone.
just get soaked.
Glorious. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble mailbag, part of the Acast Creator Network. Remember to get your questions in for next week's episode. And do follow us on Twitter, TikTok and Instagram at Football Ramble, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Have a lovely Saturday. Luke Moore.
And before we go, I just wanted to let you know that I found a player while researching the dark arts called Gerardo Bedoya, who's actually capped for Colombia and nicknamed the Beast, who in his career managed to get 46 red cards, which is
Blimey.
almost twice the level of Sergio Ramos.
That's really
And
something.
he almost certainly didn't play anywhere near as long as he did.
No.
So there you go.
Incredible. Have a lovely Saturday, Jim Campbell.
You too, mate. Stay humble.
Have a lovely Saturday, everybody. Trust the process.
Don't sit in the comfy chair.
Thank you for watching a clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an upload. A single upload. Don't miss out on the uploads. The uploads are important.